Max Hastings in 2007 wrote a book called Retribution: The Battle for Japan, 1944 to 45. In it, he said this: inaugurating its Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere, Japan perceived itself merely as a latecomer to the contest for empire, in which other great nations had engaged for centuries. It saw only hypocrisy and racism in the objections of Western imperial powers. Japan's pre-war economic difficulties and pretensions to a policy of Asia for Asians inspired some sympathy among subject peoples of European empires. This vanished, however, in the face of the occupiers' behavior in China and elsewhere. Japanese pogroms of Chinese in Southeast Asia were designed partly to win favor with the indigenous peoples, but these in turn soon found themselves suffering appallingly. The new rulers were inhibited from treating their conquests humanely, even had they wished to do so, by the fact that the purpose of seizure was to strip them of food and raw materials for the benefit of Japan's people. Prince Kanoye returned as prime minister in July of 1940, having resigned in December 1938. He still aimed to limit the power of the military, and he created a unity party called the Imperial Rule Assistance Association, which was joined by most political parties. However, he again failed to control the militarists. Indeed, multi-party politics was suspended in 1940 when the Imperial Rule Assistance Association replaced all political parties. The military were in total control when in October 1941, Prime Minister Prince Kanoye resigned and was replaced by General Tojo. In September 1940, the Japanese, under Foreign Minister Masuka, signed the Three-Power Pact, which agreed that Germany and Italy would dominate Europe and leave Japan to dominate East Asia. If the Axis powers could defeat the Western democracies in Europe, their colonies in Asia could be easily seized by Japan. Furthermore, Japan was able to secure its border after signing a pact with the Soviet Union. During the war with China, Japan had clashed twice with the Soviet Union over border disputes, first in 1938, and then again for a more protracted period in the summer of 1939. The Nazi-Soviet Pact of 1939 had been a setback for Japan. However, in April 1941, Masuka also entered into a neutrality pact with the Soviets. This was mutually beneficial as the Soviet Union could concentrate its forces in Europe and the Japanese could move its forces further south. The victories of the Nazis in Europe created great opportunities for Japan to take over the Asian colonies of Britain, France, and the Netherlands. And on the 24th of July, Japanese forces moved into southern Indochina. From there, they could threaten Thailand, Malay, and the Dutch East Indies. The U.S. and Britain, alarmed at this Japanese move, immediately froze all Japanese assets, and this brought foreign trade with Japan to a halt. In addition, they strengthened their defenses in the region and increased aid to China. In 1941, in part fostered by Hitler's impressive early victories in Europe, Japan expanded its ambitions for the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere. South Asia was now to be included in this. It has been suggested that Japan entered into the war with China without a clear plan on how to end it. Indeed, Japan was still fully engaged in this war with no end to the conflict in sight when it attacked Western colonies in November 1941. The United States and Japan were inexorably moving toward a bloody collision in the Pacific. Several individuals and groups tried to stop the drift toward war and, have productive Japan and U.S. talks. But by this time in 1941, however, Japan had only two grim alternatives: reach a compromise with the U.S. or take the gamble of going to war. The American government was in no mood to compromise and insisted that Japanese troops be withdrawn from China. General Tojo, the army minister in the Third Kino cabinet, spoke for the military when he said, "The Army's position is that there can be no compromise on the stationing of troops in China. It affects military morale. Troop withdrawals are the heart of the matter. If we just give to the American demand, everything we have achieved in China will be lost." Tojo found those compelling reasons not to budge on China. Prime Minister Kino, however, thought it manifestly unwise for Japan to plunge into an unpredictable war at a time when the China incident is still unresolved. Kino resigned on October 16, 1941.